Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another round of the 100 series here at oNiD. Tonight, a new track and a new commentator briefly joining me in the commentary. We thank stepping in for Tom. So tonight we've got Johnny, who's not driving, who's just going to be talking absolute rubbish or leaving, I'm sure.
Absolutely, I'm here, and it's a tactical drop round. That's what I'm going for. Wait until the setups come out for the GT3s. I'm having a nice week's break.
Yeah, that's very true. Speaking of GT3s, we are watching some in qualifying. It is a very interesting track. I did drive it briefly today, just to have a look around it, and it's so easy to get confused here. And with not much time to learn, and obviously the update only came out recently, I'm sure the drivers are going to be struggling. But to help them a little bit, I think we've given them, or at least you've given them, the chance to change their car, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so they were all given, once the update came out, we offered everyone who's driving an LMU league that they would be able to change their car if they wanted to try a new GT3, or if they just weren't getting on with one of the hypercars that they're in. But they would have to take a 15-point deduction in the standings. And I think we've had a few. I think, if I remember rightly, Matt Townsend has changed from the McLaren to the Mustang. I think Elvin's changed. That might be on a Monday, actually. I don't think too many people changed on Sundays, to be fair. But it's going to be interesting, obviously, a brand new GT3 tyre model to comprehend, and a new track thrown in to boot as well. So they're going to have a steep learning curve this evening. And not only is it that they've got all that to contend with, and then they've got 100 minutes at a warm Qatar as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight, whether some of the guys that were quick on the last time model have managed to get to grips with it, or whether they've not quite got to grips with it, and we're going to see maybe some new people on podiums or high up the order. So certainly will be interesting. You've had your first real taste of LMU today, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Prior to that, it's literally me being, watching them and spectating them, and using a keyboard while I develop an app. So yeah, very different feeling. And I have to say, it's not what I expected in a very good way. I thought it was a bit overhyped. Sure, it looks good and it's interesting and it's cool. But driving and going through some of the corners, every corner and every lap, it's such an interesting experience, because you feel like you're constantly balancing the car. You might go through the entry of the corner and think you're settled, and suddenly the rear steps out and you realize you've tried to carry too much speed, especially with the new tire update, obviously. And every lap that corner is just slightly different as the tires were, so really is quite enjoyable. And I actually messaged you saying it must be fantastic to race, trying to focus on all that throughout a corner whilst battling someone and trying to do your best on track. Yes, so great stuff. Keezy, by the way, as ever, is rapid and in pole straight away on the GT3 field, obviously. Despite the new track, despite the new tyre model, hasn't set him back whatsoever.
No, it seems to have picked it up quite nicely. I was running around in kind of high 159s, low 2 minutes when I had a go earlier on in the week. So that's a very quick time from Christian Keezy. And like I said, he picks them up very quickly. And Ben Shawley has come in and picked up a very, very quick timing of a 139 in the hypercar. So that's absolutely rapid as well. With anyone who can clear Alfie Bevan by a second is doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. And surely, actually, we've seen him be quick, especially in ATC. But recently it's kind of been an odd one, especially in the hypercar field. The pole, the leaders have kind of been, chopping and changing. Obviously, we've seen Hine deliver some stellar performances. Cowley, obviously, Bevan, who, as you say, is an incredibly quick driver. So it has been a bit of chopping and changing in the hypercar field. And I think up to now, we've had kind of, a different winner. I think last week we mentioned it was 6 different winners across 2 classes. Obviously, being a different winner kind of every week kind of scenario. And obviously we've got the drop rounds, and this week, or last week, sorry, was the first kind of breakout round where we actually see, what the standings look like. We'll have a look at that later. It's certainly interesting who will take pole. Have to wait and see. Obviously, surely is leading the way by a second. Blomqvist another second behind that. So Bevan is still really quick. It's just surely is on some other plane of existence.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, going back to, we had another obviously winner last week. Alfie did win on the track in the hypercars, but actually because of a penalty, Elvin actually picked up the win last week. So that was another winner in that hypercar class. And GT3s, Keesig has been pretty dominant We've seen him have some really, really good performances. So we'll see. I think Bascar's one to watch out for in GT3s. Tyler obviously is another one to keep an eye on as well. So we'll just have to see what comes of today. And oh look, is that a hypercar in a Porsche livery? I love it.
It is. It's a Porsche. That's a Porsche. Yeah. So Scotty obviously joining after me, I think, here, which is an odd one because this doesn't usually happen to me as a spectator. It usually just kind of loads straight away. But maybe they've changed something in the latest update. But either way, Scotty in the Porsche, albeit the wrong Porsche, currently in ninth. Unfortunately, we don't quite have the glorious sound of the Porsche either until that car fully loads in. But for now, doing a great job. In fact, I'm on the completely wrong over. Let's have a look at their... If I click this button, we actually get to look at the... how they're doing. So obviously personal improvement in the first sector, 7/10 off the best sector 1, and obviously coming through the twisty sector 2 now. I'm not sure where the sector lines are. I don't know if they've already passed it and maybe have invalidated this lap. I'm not sure whether you know either whether the sector beams are.
I would think, this sector is this one is an invalid one because only 15 seconds off the end of the lap. But this track is going to be incredibly difficult. It's a fast-flowing track. Like you said, you alluded to earlier, actually taking too much speed into a corner with this new tyre model for GT3s is actually really tricky, but you need to be quick through the corners in this one to carry that speed. So, like you said, it's going to be a big balancing act for the GT3s to try and carry as much speed as they can, make sure they don't get too much understeer, because that's, they've got these new ABS settings as well. With the understeer and the oversteer, and you can balance it, and it's trying to find that right ABS setting for you, where you can really feel like you can push the car. And at the minute, Keesig's obviously is comfortable in that, and Bascar as well, up into second in that GT3. So, and hypercars that I've always found, if you carry too much speed in the hypercar, the rear end will step out. So, it's one of them, isn't it? You've got to be... Hypercars, I always feel like they're on the ragged edge completely.
It did, I completely forgot about the ABS, the new ABS kind of settings. And it's another one, it's one of the drivers they're going to have to get used to. Luckily, in-game it does pop and say, this is slightly more understeer, this is oversteer, this is more balanced. So if you're not too familiar, or if you can't remember, you do have that pop-up in-game, which is really useful, really helpful. And something as well, maybe the drivers will be adjusting throughout the race, as the tyres degrade slightly, they might be wearing the fronts a bit more as they're scrubbing and carrying a bit too much speed through the corners. And actually, okay, I'll need to adjust it now so it's slightly more forwards or backwards or whatever it may be. To help them out throughout the race. And that's just another thing, 100 minutes in this race, a long time. Making those small adjustments might make the difference, particularly in the long run. Matt Townsend, by the way, up to third now. Again, personal improvement in the first sector. Not too far away from the best sector, either, only 2/10. And considering the squiggly nature of the first sector, that's not too bad at all. He gets it all kinds of sideways through that long left-hander there. I don't think this lap will count for much then after that.
No, it's very weird to see someone step out the rear in the Mustang, because it's usually quite planted, but I always found it was fairly planted. So he must have that on an ABS setting with a bit of oversteer in it, trying to carry that speed and kind of get the rear coming around a little bit, so it helps with his turning. So this lap won't count for much. As you see, he's 1.3 seconds down in that sector, so he'll have to go again. But they've got 4.5 minutes to get another one. Ralph Vest seems to have picked up this game fairly good, and he's up into fourth, and not too far off of Christian Keesig. I know it's 1.8 seconds, but that's actually anything within 2 seconds of Keesig is usually a pretty good effort.
Yeah, no, very good point there. Very good point there. And I think someone mentioned the Discord as well somewhere. He's just got this mega pace suddenly. I guess you said to me actually before the stream that the Corvette has a big improvement since the last update. We see there as well, purple sector 1, purple sector 3, it looks like. So doing a great job. Just that middle sector, 1.8 seconds away, clearly had an issue. Whether it's affected them too much, and we'll have to reset and get some tyres. We'll have to wait and see. But it is, I guess, something I learned as well today, which I didn't quite appreciate. It's all well and good to say, spend a lap getting the tyres ready. I drove it today. 2 laps. It took me 2 solid laps of trying to not bin it and get the tyres ready before I could put in any sort of shape of a lap. So really is a gamble as he slides his way through that right-hander there. Maybe carrying a bit of tyre damage from his previous lap, that incident in the middle sector, and not fully appreciating the effects that's had on his tyres, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just dipping into the stream chat, actually. Dean says, so if we want to change car, we lose 15 points. Do we need to do anything else? Well, you need to tell me what car you want to change to. That would be a good start. Much as I can do many things in oNiD, I can't read people's minds yet. Yeah, so just message your league organizer and they will get that sorted for you. Matt Holman's here. Hello, Mr. Holman. And Ben says, Valkyrie when? Well, if it's anything like Le Mans, no one will be wanting the Valkyrie because it's rubbish.
That's true. Someone said it's not quite ready yet. It does look good, I'm sure. V12, so it's going to sound fantastic. But yeah, you want it to be. But maybe it's one of those cars like the Lexus or the Bentley where, you know, regardless of its true pace, you'll just get that, you know, that fan club who will drive it no matter what.
Yeah, I can already tell you it's going to be Stevie Bain, Dan Lindblom, Ben Brown, all the Writer and V12 fanboys that will be from ACC will drive that Valkyrie. I'm looking forward to it because obviously they've done a big announcement, haven't they, at Le Mans, where they're going to be bringing ELMS, which we all kind of knew was going to come, which is going to bring three new tracks. So we've got Barcelona, we've got Silverstone, and we've got Paul Ricard. Hopefully that's going to bring variants as well, because you think Silverstone you could have the short track of the national, you could have the international and the GP track. Barcelona, there is a couple of configurations there as well, and obviously with Paul Ricard you've got 3,455 configurations, and that's just down the straight alone. So yeah, and then they're going to bring the Valkyrie, which is going to be free, they've said, and the AMG GT3, which I do love the AMG GT3.
Yeah, and another great sounding car as well. That's going to be a fun one to drive, I think. And it's front engine, sure, but it's slightly different, I think, to the Ford and the BMW. It seems, you know, sleeker and kind of more agile in a way. I know it's still front engine and just eats through curbs, but I don't know. It's just got that kind of balance to it, which I kind of like. By the way, we've seen here as Temega moves up to fifth in class, we've seen GT3 car after GT3 car loop it round in these final minutes in qualifying. So just pushing a bit too much. Hopefully they don't do that too much in the race, because maybe that will force some drivers' hands when they pit, and maybe if they have to pit extra, which is really going to be detrimental.
Yeah, it's quite hot out there. I think we
36 degrees in track.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite warm, so they're going to have to look after their tyres. Any spins in that middle sector, you're going to really tear your tyres up, and that will make a massive difference to your pit stop. Obviously, we've seen these races have become a bit of a fuel mileage kind of race, and how much you feel you can save, and how much, you know, can you get away with a one stop, or do you need to two stop, and how well can you look after the tyres. I think today is going to be, okay, let's just do as much as I can on fuel, but my focus is going to be protecting these tyres. And, you know, because if you have to change, you know, two tyres or so, it's going to take 4 seconds a tyre, isn't it? So 3 seconds a tyre. So if you have to change your front wear, that's another 6 seconds in your pit stop, which, you know, it could be a matter of two or three places. You know, you could be luckily and you're in a gap, and you can afford to take some tyres and still come out and save some position. So it's going to be definitely not so much for a fuel mileage. I think it's going to be tyre conservation this race.
Yeah, no, very, very good point. Could be really interesting. See how that all plays out as well. There's Nick here in sixth. Not many drivers improving. You know, we had that initial round. You know, you go out, you set a lap, you improve on that lap, and that's kind of been it so far. We had a couple other improvements after that, but new track, new time. I'm sure the hypercars, you know, same time, but still a new track they're going to have to get used to. As I say, very, very hot out there. Something the drivers have to take into consideration. And maybe, you know, we'll even see drivers thinking about hard tyres, and obviously there are the different compounds, and you know, the way you kind of decide those compounds is based on really the temperature and the temperature range. So maybe we'll see a mixture of strategies on that front, and again, maybe drivers changing the rear tyres or changing the front tyres only to a different compound. We've seen that before. We'll have to see obviously what the drivers decide to do in the race, because I couldn't even begin to imagine what would be the right strategy here tonight. I'm usually way off, to be honest. But obviously, you being a driver in this series, what's been your strategy so far, and what would you want to do tonight?
Well, I made a silly call last week, so we won't go into that. The thing you've been having to do is you have to brim the tank. I tried the reverse last week, where I thought I'd go really, really short on my first stop because I was sure I was going to have to two-stop, but I locked myself into that strategy by doing that first short stint. But I think for this one, you've just got to brim the tank. Hypercars, you might get away with actually going onto hard tyres. It doesn't make a difference really in your pace. It's whether you can get it into the operating window. So I would definitely think hard tyres or medium tyres for the hypercars, and then GT3 is just tyre management and just go as long as you can. You're off throttle quite a bit, so you might be able to fuel save, but not even thinking about it.
No, fair enough. Very good point. Screwed. Very insightful as well. There. So here's the qualifying order then. The starting order for the race. Obviously, Ben Shawley. We saw him take pole fairly early on. Kept it there. Alfie Bevan, similar thing. Up into P2. Remains there for the start. James Cowley. Third, obviously, second row next to Jacob Hine. Angela Scotti moving up to fifth, so did get a good lap in. Eventually, Daniel Chevelle obviously lining up beside her. Nick Manders next to Charlie Morgan, which is an interesting one. oNiD on oNiD. Academy versus Pro, I'm going to use. Runa Bertolfsson, and we've got Dave Spiller, Tom Watson and Elvin Blomkes obviously rounding out the hypercar field. Let's have a quick peek then at the results for the GT3. Christian Kiesig, no surprise there, obviously leads the way in his Porsche, lines up next to the BMW of Athol Basgar in front of Matt Townsend, along with the Corvette of Ralph Fest. So going to be very interesting up front there. Another Mustang of Anton Temenga starts in P5, obviously. A couple of Ferraris then behind that, Dmitry Roshenko, Matthias Juskin, Peter Jelnek, Mr. Consistent himself, lines up just in front of Tyler Hammer, who leads from Alex Parking, and Tim Bobb, I believe, is all on his own there on the second page.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was just looking at the qualifying you had up for the hypercars there, and it showed Elvin in third and in 12th, but on the overlay there, you can see he's 12th. Right. So.
No, you are right, yeah. Interesting. Has he been kicked to the back? Perhaps? Let me see if I've got a...
Formation lab.
I don't know. He's made 11 places up.
Well, ever since this new update...
actually, yes. There is something to be said about that, because I believe... Aren't they doing the formation grouping as well?
Also, yes, and also, if Elvin failed to qualify for whatever reason and was supposed to start behind the GT3 fields in terms of lap time, they'll bump him up so he starts at the back of their class. Yes. So that's one thing we've seen before, which drivers have struggled with.
And there's gaps now, so the gap between hypercar and the next class is actually, it should be a bit bigger, so
it is,
you should see actually... Not too much, especially, it's not so bad in this one, because by the time they've rattled, the hypercars have rattled down the straight, they should be clear of the GT3s anyway, but there is a slightly bigger gap, and that was one of the part of the update, which, especially at Le Mans, is quite important.
Yeah, very true. Not quite big enough, though, for the likes of Monza, as I learnt earlier today. But anyway, they are indeed away. Jelinek apparently is in the pit lane, so briefly takes the lead. Surely, obviously wanting to defend from Alfie Bevan as they head the way. Quite a long distance towards turn one, but he's managing to just hold on there in front of Alfie Bevan.
Jacobs absolutely sent it. Oh, they go 3 into 1. Jacob had a monster start in that Alpine, and he just got absolutely done by James Cowley in the Peugeot.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, exactly. Monster start there. Locked the brakes slightly. Up to third, though, is Hines. So still gained one position overall. As we see a Ferrari, they're just breaking out the pack, trying to get some, either get past or just seeing where he wants to go. We see two Porsches in the background as well, scrabbling for position. That's Angela Scotti and I think Nick Manders. Let me get the quick overlay up. Indeed it is, as Daniel Chevelle gets past Nick Manders actually and separates the Porsches. James Cowley and Jacob Hine fighting obviously for P3.
Yeah, I saw that. It was actually Ben Shawley that had Jacob had an amazing start in the Alpine, absolutely just flew down towards turn one. And Shawley, I don't know what he did, he got it all hooked up and managed to get, and he's already got a massive gap already at the front, absolutely flew round. But this battle here for Elvin making his way up from last on the grid has done really well already. He's made up 4 positions and he's battling for a 5th. Yeah,
goes a little bit wider obviously, crosses the gravel and comes back on again. Momentarily diffuse that battle, but we're just seeing there through the middle sector as well. Obviously in qualifying it was private, we didn't get to see driver on driver. We'll see some more dust and gravel flicked up as Elvin again goes slightly wide there. But obviously, being prime, this is the first session where the drivers have been on track next to each other throughout all the track, obviously. And we just see the actual difference in confidence in braking or where they're putting their cars, and it's really catching some drivers out.
Yeah, and it's obviously how confident you feel in your setup, how much there's no tyre warmers or anything, so it's how much heat you've got. And you see how Elvin absolutely sends it into turn one, probably outbrakes himself a little bit, and Chauvel's going to come back at him. They're still side by side. They've done this for almost a lap, but Elvin's got that one done now. That was a clever little move. Knew he had the inside and just could hang it out to the next part and try and cover off Chauvel. And GT3's, I've noticed actually Atul Bhaskar is in the lead.
Yeah, so obviously stealing the lead from Christian Kiesig, who's actually wanting it back right away, like we can see here. And as you say, Ben Shirley, by the way, surely easily 3 and a bit seconds up the road from Alfie Bevan, but these two, no 3 second gap here, less than 3/10 in fact. Porsche on BMW, Atul Bhaskar, in a tricky situation because it's a very wide circuit, so he can't afford to be, not sure in some of these corners and keep. The Porsche behind is actually Atul looking for a move to defend against Christian Kiesig here. Christian trying to go around the outside, not quite got enough momentum to get it done, but just keeping the BMW on his toes. There's no room for complacency. You can't be too unsure about these corners because the Porsche behind you is very confident, it seems, and the track's wide enough for him to get past if you're too slow. As again, the Porsche having a sniff, almost pushing the BMW there as they approach this wiggly section yet again, breaking out a bit from the pack behind them. So looking for an opportunity as Tom Watson has a big issue.
Yeah, nice to see Bhaskar leading. Oh, that was a big issue for Tom Watson. It's a shame. I love that Joe's delivery as well. Come on, Tom, step it up.
Quick peek.
Oh, that's just a KUT, cut the inside curve. Did his best to hold it, and then just couldn't quite keep it under him. Unfortunately, has dropped all the way back to 12. But I was saying Bhaskar, it was great to see Bhaskar's now driving for oNiD. So good to see an oNiD car at the front, and he's been really, really good since he came in. I had some great battles with him in the first LMU series. Just got better and better and better. And now leading the race, and has got not a comfortable gap, but they've got a little bit of a gap back to Townsend. So if them two can work together and not too much, as we see Cowley having a look at the inside of Jacob Hine. That is again oNiD on oNiD violence.
It did nearly sent it, but didn't need to. Jacob Hine goes wide, goes very deep, and the Peugeot goes through without issue and leaves, actually. Jacob Hine defending, if there's any time left to defend, against Angela Scott. Oh, a bit of a wiggly hypercar there from both of them. And obviously now Angela Scott backs up into another Porsche of Nick Manders. Brief lock up there as well for the Porsche. Angela Scott, he's sticking with the Alpine of Jacob Hine, though. Everyone looking for an opportunity, and this is the key point in the race to get jobs done, because if you're more confident and the driver in front of you in a certain corner, obviously they're going to learn over time where the limit is, where you're strong. So now is the time to strike. If you've got it in you and you've got the confidence to do it, you've got to be brave.
Absolutely, and you've got to strike while the iron's hot, haven't you? That's the thing. If you're feeling comfortable in your car and that person in front of you is not, you've got to try and get past. The more they hold you up, the more you're going to get all that dirty air off the car in front of you. Your tyres are going to get hot. You're going to not be able to pass. So you want to get past, get into some kind of comfort. And you see, Matt Townsend's caught up with Atul Bhaskar. So you want to get into some comfort and get into what I call enduro mode. This is a long race, remember, so they're only 6 minutes in. So it's going to be a long one. And we've got is this Charlie? No,
Reno Potofsky.
Valor coming in.
Coming into Matt Townsend with an issue. We were just looking at him in the Mustang. Let's have a quick look how that unfolded. Obviously, Matt Townsend pushing Atul Bhaskar before this is up in front in the BMW. Slides it, tries to catch it, loops it round.
And that is exactly the new tyre model at work. That's exactly what it is. Pushing too hard, got carried too much into speed into the corner, and it just couldn't keep it under control. And that's exactly what this tyre model's there to do. You shouldn't be able to stick it to the road and just throw it around. You need to be really careful in balancing your car. So lucky for Matt, because he's been doing really well this season as well.
Indeed, and Matt obviously ducks into the pits there, which might be a wise move. You know, if you're gonna suffer through it, you might as well make that decision and not waste those extra laps where you're gonna be slow, gonna be struggling with those tyres. Tyres Fuskin here, almost pushing Tyler Hammer through that corner there. The Corvette, the second Corvette in this race, obviously Ralph Fest, who's a couple places ahead of these guys in the other one. And we've actually got Nick Mann as well in that Porsche, still battling with Angela Scotti. Ever so close, you know, that's the thing. You close up in the hypercars, Dirtier, you back off again, and now he's got Elvin Blomqvist in the yellow Porsche. Obviously, the AF Corsa Ferrari, they're doing well at WEC Le Mans today. I'm hoping to do the same, I'm sure, as Elvin.
Yeah, who'd have seen that coming? The privateer Ferrari team beating the factory teams, and a 40-year-old Robert Kubica in the car also. Yeah. So fair play to them. But yeah, this is a good little battle, this one, because you've got Elvin making his way through the field. You've got Scotty, she's doing a great job in that Porsche, battling Scrub, who's had a great start to the race. These three are just going to be, looks like it's going to be nose to tail for the next few minutes. If you are Elvin, if you think you've got the pace to get past these people, both of them, do you go for it, or do you just sit and just try and sip a bit of fuel, stay in the slipstream, protect your tyres a little bit, but your tyres are going to get a bit warm if you're in too much dirty air. So really, fine balancing act as we see. I think that is Scrub gone wide and Scotty's gone round in front of Scrub. So
other way around.
The other way around. So yeah. Scotty got a little bit squirrely, and Scrub's had a little pop at the inside and through into fifth. So yeah, if I'm Elvin here, I think I just sit, just let these battle it out. One of them will make a mistake, take a bit of fuel, and push towards the later stages of the race where stop taking corners wide. That'll ruin your tyres.
Indeed, they have to learn. Obviously, you usually use all the track available to you, but that has a bit of gravel there. They have to learn that. It's so tricky when all the corners look so similar. But as you're rightly say, I think it depends. If you're Elvin and you're caught up and you've got some momentum, I think you assess the situation and sit with it for a lap or so and then decide what you can do. But definitely, it's worth constantly assessing the drivers around you to see where they're weak. Ralph Fest, by the way, having an issue, let me down in that Corvette tonight. I mentioned to John before the race how much I enjoyed driving the Corvette, actually. Let's see then what happens.
This will be too much speed. Yeah, you see the rear just rotating around, too much speed into that corner. Yeah. And just getting fully donated round. That's unfortunate for Vessi, because he's had good pace. He's had really good pace, and it's interesting that some of us kind of mid-packers from the ACC days, the likes of me and Vest, and I've actually picked up a bit of pace in this game. So it obviously suits us, but we didn't think this would happen tonight. GT3 model, new tyre model, it's going to be difficult. We're going to have to learn it. I mean, not the easiest of track to learn it either. So, but they'll get there, and by the end of the race, I'm sure we'll see less and less spins. But a good little battle here. Charlie Morgan in front of Dave Spiller, and Dave doing really good, coming from the Xbox side, and there's really impressed it's coming from the Xbox side and the console side of things, and has picked this up fairly nicely. And I think he does a fair bit in the iRacing stuff too. So doing good, learning the ropes, and doing it for Jota, who had a fantastic Le Mans really this with the pole position on Thursday. So they've done really well. So but obviously Jota were in the Cadillac for the 2025 season, and not the Porsche.
Indeed, but yellow car and yellow car, it's the same thing, right? It's like Cadillac and...
Yeah.
But here they go, these two drives, Ferrari 296, which is typically a more stable car, particularly when you line up against the Corvette. Corvette comes out almost alongside Tyler Hammer through that corner there. I can't tell you what corner it was, but it was a corner. But yes, chasing him round. Honestly, it looks the same to me too. I know I've got the track map there as well, but I don't know.
A corner, I like it.
A corner. It's the best you're going to get from me tonight.
He's another one that's has done really well.
Runs exactly wide. Exactly, you said that, by the way.
You what?
Ran wide as soon as you said that.
I know. It's typical, isn't it? It's the curse of the commentator. But no, Fusel's been doing really well. He was a part of the GT, the championship we did, our first championship in season 2, and he had some good pace in the Mustang, but obviously he's changed over to the Ferrari, and I don't know if he's quite getting to grips with the Ferrari. Obviously, if you're not quite getting to grips with the car and you've got a new tyre model, it's going to be a challenge. But he does look like he is actually pushing Tyler around. I'd be giving Tyler the flash, but yeah.
Oops, indeed. Let's kind of go on board for a while through these corners. You can hear the tyres as well from these little onboard cameras. Hear how much they're scrubbing or they're pushing. See how that Corvette rotates as well, kind of in the second part of the corner. Very interesting. And that just gives you an idea of the balance of the car as well. The car in front, obviously, being more mid-engine. There's a yellow flag. Well, stopped actually. Is Elvin Blomqvist way off the track. Let's have a look what happened there.
Battling with Scotty, I think so. And it's going to be that good old. Oh yeah, it's too much speed. Didn't really.
Yeah, was barely able to brake. Was Elvin there, but luckily it looked like the Porsche was unaffected. We'll see how well the Ferrari can do after that incident. Obviously, we can see the damage on the front end there. Obviously, Elvin will be feeling it, and at this point, I think he's probably reassessing his strategy. Drive around for a lap, see if he can still make good pace. Otherwise, maybe you have to put up with an unscheduled pit stop, unfortunately. GT3s are all about battles tonight. These guys still close together ties, Fuskin and Tyler Hammer, whilst the hypercars are kind of sitting in enduro mode, trying to manage that fuel so far. Obviously letting the hypercars go early on. 14 minutes into the race. There's going to be plenty of lapping hypercars to deal with, and luckily there's plenty of room there tonight. Ferrari just sitting comfortably on the back of Tyler Hammer for now, cutting those corners nicely, looking very evil, menacingly behind the Corvette. Although there's a move as the Corvette goes slightly deep, gives the Ferrari an opportunity to come alongside, drag race next corner, but decides to slip back underneath the Corvette instead, who has a better run, funny enough, coming out of that corner. And obviously lets the hypercars go. Maybe there's an opportunity there if the hypercars can slightly aid this attack. Maybe the Ferrari 296 will have to wait for that. Although loses the rear, loops it around, tries to hold onto it, avoids the wall, I think just scrapes alongside, picks up some tyre damage. Luckily there's some gravel there as well. If that was kind of painted surface straight in the wall, would have been Matthias Fuskin, but puts himself out of that battle. We can see the damage there as he rejoins the circuit there. And luckily I think mostly just tyre damage, which will be very uncomfortable, especially on the long straight, but has put him outside the battle there for now. Nick Bander, speaking of battles, under the wing of Jacob Hein here for fourth in the hypercar class. Porsche versus Alpine. We can just hear the high-pitched whine of the Alpine hit shot there as they find themselves going through turn 4. Let's jump on board with Nick. Oops. Then as he chases down Jacob, we see the Alpine ahead, putting the pressure on. Alpine using slightly more exit there, able to carry a bit more speed than Nick. And again, maybe that's just a difference in confidence of, braking less, carrying a bit more momentum, using more exit. You know it's there. And there's another yellow flag, this time for Charlie Morgan, who we can see is facing the wrong way, rear into the wall. This is just before turn 4. Let's have a look how that happened then with a replay. Charlie Morgan in the hypercar just get clipped, lapping the 296 there, who themselves we see have an issue. Very unfortunate. And we see Petr Jelinek there rejoining the circuit in his Aston Martin. Let's have a look as well what happened there. Straight just lights at the rear, so slow one to go, but once it started, there's no stopping that front engine. Actually on his little spin turn, clips the wall as well, which won't help him at all. Pancioli very comfortable up. 11.5 seconds now is his lead. This is his gap to Alfie Bevan, who himself has 19 seconds to James Cowley. So really, Pancioli 30 seconds up the road. No issue there. Can relax, let off the throttle a bit more if he needs to. Manage that fuel, manage that virtual energy, have a shorter pit stop, and just have an even bigger lead in the second part of the race. Amanda still battling with Jacob Hine, obviously. It's a bit of a funny one because you can spend the time attacking and, really pushing the driver ahead, but you're going to consume more of your tyres. You're going to be more aggressive on throttle. Use just a little bit more verse energy. And obviously you're going to miss out the slipstream. You're going to compromise yourself. You're going to risk it all for that one extra position right now when, you've got a fairly big gap to the next driver up the road. So do you, stick with the Alpine, stay in the slipstream, stay on your racing line as long as you're not being compromised too much, and as long as you're not coming under attack from the driver behind. Is it fair enough just to stick here and keep the pressure on and wait for the Alpine to make a mistake? And you don't even have to bother with a move as they come through the turn 13, approaching turn 14 in the final section, obviously. Getting closer and closer to the Alpine. Obviously, you want to get a mega run coming out of this final corner. Such a long start finish straight is crucial. And he's really close, is Nick Manners, as they come through the final corner. Slips, sticks to the back of the Alpine. Now getting closer and closer with the slipstream. Crosses the start-finish line. Not enough of a run. The Alpine just has so much grunt, it seems. The Porsche's just not able to do anything, even with that good exit and with the long start-finish straight. Sticks with him through the first sector, just keeping the pressure on more and more. And obviously, fair play to Jacob just to absorb all this and not make any errors, not even a little lock-up so far. And in fact, he's actually pulling away now from Nick and, using a bit more of the track. As I said, Nick dealing with the dirty air slightly as well. So it is a bit of a compromise to be too close. Just hear again that whine of the Alpine engine and obviously hybrid unit. And there's a yellow flag again, this time for Ralph Fest in that Corvette. Starts off with one tyre issue, and that makes it ever so easy to do it the next time coming out the final corner. Let's have a look then what caused it. Just gets on the power and
old tyre, spin tyres as well, because he spun, didn't he, a little while ago.
Yeah,
that'll be all that.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, talking about. He's entered the corner. That's fine. Gets on a bit more of the power through the middle of the corner towards the exit, and the car just drops it. That's the difference in brand new tyres and this new tyre model, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Petjanlek as well, himself recovering from an issue we saw earlier on the back of Ralph Fest as well. I think we'll probably be in a bit of a better position to attack than Ralph might be to defend, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah, Petter doing a great job in that Aston Martin. Has stayed with it. He loves the Aston. I think he used it all through ACC as well. He barely changed cars, so Mr. Consistent, Mr. Aston Martin, I think we have to start calling him.
Yeah, indeed, and actually now, or soon, we'll have an Aston Martin Valkyrie to crowd as well, so no excuse for not being in that field either.
Yeah, absolutely, especially...
We've missed it somewhere, but Christian Kiesig has taken back the lead from Matthew Basco? Question mark. Did we see that? I can't remember, because obviously Fuskin was chasing down Basco, actually. As Batofson
I think
pits.
Basco pitted. Maybe?
I can't see that he has. Strange one. I'm not too sure. Either way, long way to go. And we'll soon find out. Am I in a replay chance? No. Hold on. Let me get the overlay back on. There we go. Seems like most of the hypercars, you say, in that kind of management enduro mode. It is a long way to go, and you don't want to push it too early, particularly as the track is 41 degrees C. And with that, actually, let's have a look at maybe what the tyres, what the strategy the drivers have opted for. Let's have a look if it wants to work. It might not because of the update.
All waiting with bated breath here.
Oh, there we go. It has worked eventually. I did a mix of strategy then. The top three on just medium tyres, whereas the rest have kind of gone this split, hard mediums. I wonder, Johnny, whether this is a difference in setup suppliers.
Well, maybe, yeah. With the hypercars, certainly, because they can still use setups. GT3s obviously won't have the new setups yet, but certainly with the hypercars, yeah, it might be that. It might be that some people have actually been talking to each other and actually said, "Yeah, put hards on the fronts because they're gonna wear more." Whether they can get them into the window and they're the best tyre, it's one of them things, isn't it? I'd be surprised though, because it's a new track, whether the hypercars actually have got setups yet.
Yeah,
it'd be very. They'd have to, these suppliers, the Coach Dave and the Goes of the world would have to do this very, very quickly, and whether they have actually got something or it's actually an oNiD thing, and they've all been talking and have decided that actually hards are the way to go. As we saw a little while ago, Fuse can have a spin as well. But yeah, Kiesig has kind of gone away from Baskar, now 7 seconds clear. Yaroshenko up into third as well.
Yeah, great job there from Yaroshenko, who's actually done a faster overall best lap than Atul Baskar, so maybe Atul will have to keep his eyes peeled for the imminently approaching Dmitry Yaroshenko. Last lap, 7/10 in in Baskar's favour though, so maybe not. But Yaroshenko has did a great job, up 3 places in class since the start of the race, which was barely 24 minutes ago, so lots of time to go. Lots of things can happen, particularly this time, but we see the drive struggling, particularly if they've had one issue. It's so much easier to do it again, and maybe at a corner you don't quite expect either. Yeah,
absolutely. As we see, it's getting quite busy. And one thing we haven't spoke about either was how this track's going to cope with traffic. It's very flowing. I think if you're a hypercar, you need to be patient. You're going to get a better drive out of the corner than the GT3s, but on entry, I think the hypercars might easily get caught out by the GT3s. So yeah, it's about patience for the hypercars and just knowing when they can and they can pass safely and what corners they can do it on. And it's all a learning experience, because this apart from Formula 1, this track hasn't been in any other simulator really, so they're all learning it. They're all trying to work out where it's best to get past without hindering each other, and still being able for the GT3 certainly still being able to think, well, I've got a blue flag car behind me, maybe I can go wide here and let them pass, or please be patient. There's a lot of praying as we see. Oh, is that Tyler? Not having the best of days, bless him.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a little look then. What happened to Tyler in the Corvette yet again? Just loses the rear. Oh, and actually, doesn't help by the curb there on the exit either. Lights at the rear is big time, and into the gravel there. Luckily, in a sense, they were still moving as we see the netcode have a funny moment. So they aren't going to be majorly flat spotted, but they are going to have a bit of deck, a bit more deck than he'd like there. On his way again.
The 2 American boys are not having much luck in them Corvettes, are they? So, as we see the console boys, Spiller and Watson in the Jota Porsches, having a nice little battle here for 9th position. It's nice to see. I'll tell you what, it is nice to see the guys from console coming across, because obviously we've all been there, especially me, Ben, and Dave, who the people who set up oNiD. We all came from console, went to PC. We've all made that transition. We've seen a fair few people doing it as well, and it's great to see. We've had extreme beef. Simon Harris has done it over the last couple of years, and now Tommy and Dave have done it as well. So it's nice to see them doing well and enjoying it. It's a completely different experience coming over to PC. Absolutely different. So it's great to see them learning and getting involved, and hopefully we'll see a few more console drivers joining the LMU train in the next few weeks.
Yeah, no, definitely. Dan Chauvel, by the way, I just got him coming out the pit lane. Hasn't shown to have one pit stop. I think he might have had a drive-through. I might have missed that though. But interesting that drivers picking up drive-through track, just learning with the track as well. All becomes clear suddenly. If he's running wide like that, yes, no surprise. But yeah, drivers learning where the limits are as well on the track. Lots to learn on the circuit. Sure, it's a new circuit. You think what's the difference, but when corners are so familiar as well, it's so tricky to define the limits per corner when it all looks the same. It's such a extra amount of work. When you've got a car behind you as well, and you're trying to learn the track and understand where the limits are for your car as it's evolving, and you've got a mirror full of Jacob Hine, for instance, it makes it even more difficult. These guys going side by side towards the start finish. So Alpine yet again with some immense straight line speed. Ferrari 296 in the middle there. Maybe saves Nick Manders this time. Jacob Hine obviously going a bit deep at turn 1 though. This kind of section reminds me a lot of Bahrain, obviously. Turn 1 and then flicking through up to turn 4. Jacob Hine
It does. It has that Bahrain feel to it. It also has that flat feel to it.
Yeah.
Like there's no undulation. There's no, obviously Portugal's the extreme of that, where you go up and down hills for fun. This does have a very, even with Bahrain, there's a bit of up and down, a bit of undulation. This just feels very flat, a very flat track. Not in a bad way. It just feels like there's no. You could look across the track and nearly see, at one part of the track, and you can see every corner. What I mean?
Well, let me show you something on stream. So I made a widget. This is a one-time deal, right? And so let me get this on stream quickly. This is very interesting. You mentioned just how flat this is. This isn't going to work out for me, is it? Let me hide this. So
big black box. Is that what it is?
It's a great big black box. Yeah. Oh, I know why. There we go. So this is the elevation. This is an elevation widget, and it is literally flat. So yeah, as you say, it's in the desert. To be fair, I think. Literally flat. As Ralph Fest has another issue and flattens his tyres a bit more on this flat circuit.
Yeah, not having a good time with Vesti. He'll be shouting on his stream. I'm sure of it. But they'll get used to it. We have to remember new track, new tyre model. The game's still in early access, so they're trying to iron things out. So I just hope that people don't get put off if they don't have a good race. That's the one thing. All about driver retention and people having a good time when they're racing with us. So hopefully, I'm not going to get too put off by this new tyre model. I think it certainly needs some practice and needs a bit of love and a bit of time to learn it. I'm sure if it was me today, I'd be swearing quite a lot if I was spinning around every 2 minutes. But yeah, you see Jacob really pushing Scrub here, isn't he? Absolutely. At Alpine, he's very quick in a straight line. Scrub seems to have the corners covered, and without Jacob can have a great exit to the last corner and maybe try and have a go. I think he would have had a go in turn 1 if it wasn't for that Ferrari 296 in the previous lap.
Yeah, but honestly, and I say it's whenever there's a multi-class, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. It's ebb and flow. It comes back towards you sometimes, and sometimes you are just unlucky. So it's easy to get frustrated. Oh, that 296, but in some other scenarios, it's the other way around. So you just have to kind of neutralize it mentally, I think. And Jacob's very good at doing that, it seems. Not letting anything phase him, as you say, as he runs very wide again onto the gravel there, which a lot of drivers seem to be doing. And maybe it's that. Trying to remember, okay, this corner I can go wide, this corner has the gravel. I have to remember that it has the gravel. And I guess some drivers letting a bit easier than others. Ralph Fest, by the way, in the pit stop. Okay, he's in the pits. For some reason I thought he was retiring, but no, he's having a pit stop and changing those tires. This might be a very, very good idea.
Yeah, and these guys, they're only, we're just over half an hour into this race. It feels like a race of attrition already. Really trying to people having spins and trying to get the management of the tyres right. I would think we will start seeing people pit in the next 10 minutes if they've got a full tank of fuel, obviously, and it'd be interesting to see what they do on tyres. As you can see clearly there, that's a great actual visual there. If you saw that, the red trim on the tyres on the front there for Dave Spiller, and on the rear, or is it Tom? And on the rear we had the yellow sidewall tyres, so you can see that they are running hard medium, which is really good. It was always difficult in ACC to pick out what tyres. I know there was only dry and wet, but there was never a real clear indication. It was always difficult to find out what they were running, but with this you can see clearly on that sidewall, reds on the front, yellows on the back, so hards on the front, mediums on the rear. So interesting strategy, and we'll just have to see. Maybe the guys will only change their rears, and it will save in the pit stop in the long run.
Yeah, no, certainly. And again, you know, that plays to the balance of the car, the brake bias, the ABS, all that stuff where they're leaning a bit more into the fronts, more temperature into the fronts, and just having the hards or mediums, whatever they need there, to be in that temperature window, obviously plays to how they want to drive that car. Very interesting indeed. Jacob Hine still chasing down the Porsche. Obviously, these two have swapped positions. Obviously, we were watching earlier on the Porsche chase down Jacob Hine, but Jacob with the straight line speed of the Alpine was able to stay ahead for a long time. Now it's the other way around. Let's see then what he can do in the slipstream as well. Keeping it nice and tight, straight line to the inside, goes out wide, does the Alpine, trying to open the corner a little bit of a door bang there. Porsche just managing to keep ahead, but that was incredibly close, and I think in another world the Alpine would have been ahead there, so it's not all said and done. I think another lap there, and you know, the Porsche has to stay really on their toes to keep the Alpine behind. It's got so much grunt, it seems, and doing a lot of work here, and doing a lot of work to their tyres, I'm sure, as well, taking a little bit more extra out of them than maybe Scotty is, who's cruising on behind, just catching up to them.
Yeah, obviously Scotty and Scrub and Blomqvist in that battle earlier on, and Scotty just seems to have gone into enduro mode. Okay, I'm going to stay out of this battle. I'm going to just get them to my own race, and if I get back up with them, I'll get back up with them. But I'm going to do my race and do my strategy, which is always a good thing. Sometimes, especially in these longer races, sprint racing, it's different. You need to be making all the passes, but in this longer format, yeah, definitely, it's probably a good move. As we see a nice little battle for 19th, Petty Jelinek, who obviously started in the pit lane as well, battling back up and is now attacking Matthias Fusgen in that Ferrari 296. Indeed,
he is approaching turn one. Obviously, a good enough place to do it as any. Getting closer. Sticks to the middle of the road as a 296. Obviously, Aston Martin, the Jelinek around the outside. Deeper on the brakes, a bit more confidence perhaps in that front engine car, but the Ferrari keeps it nice and tight. He keeps it tight, and actually, it's the Aston Martin losing it, which is a bit of an oddity, a bit of a surprise there, and a bit of an odd one. And this is what I was saying again. You know, you go into the corner entry, it feels fine, and then suddenly mid-corner exit, there's just not enough grip. You're carrying too much speed, and you learn it a really, really hard way.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Ben always moaned about the Aston, you know, with that rear on the Aston. That was pre this update, so be interested to see if they've got that balance right in the Aston Martin. Obviously, very difficult to a very difficult track, as we keep saying. It's, you know, it's very easy to lose that rear, and unfortunately, Petter is not one for spinning. Is Petter usually fairly consistent? So a good little battle. You see. Elvin, who had that spin early doors as well, who was part of the original battle, again catching out by the braking of Scotty.
Yeah, just and that's the thing, you know, you've got to assess the driver ahead of you. As Petter has another issue. Let's see, he's there off in the dirt, recovering just in front of these two who are battling here. And you know, maybe Elvin, I know it's tricky to remember a lot of stuff, but you're going around next lap, approaching that corner, maybe that's where you want to be attacking. If Anton's a bit weaker there, but less confident on the brakes, or maybe the car can't brake as well as the Ferrari can, under those same circumstances, maybe that's your chance to attack.
Weigh up what you need to do, and where you need to attack and where you don't need to attack. So it's all, you know, it's all part of the strategy.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely is, these guys sticking out with our closest battle on track. Everyone else kind of, as you say, just endurance mode. Let's see what we can do on fuel. Let's see how far this Verts energy can go, particularly if they're not in a battle. But it's a bit of a catch-22 situation where I'm not in a battle, I can chill. And that means other people aren't in the battle, so they can chill. And suddenly everyone's kind of chilling and saving on fuel.
Well,
I think we're struggling with Johnny's connection. As we see a yellow flag for Tyler Hammer this time, so Corvettes aplenty off tonight. Struggling with the temperature, struggling with the track, struggling with the tyres. Don't know, the 3 T's, I suppose. Gets going now, though, and no issue rejoining over. Let's have a look as well as the Virtus Energy then, as well as we are about 40 minutes-ish into the race. All seems fairly even. Obviously, Morgan, who's stopped, I believe, a lot higher Virtus Energy. 21% has Bevan and Watson, which is our lowest. Let's see who else we've got. Potovson, 32%. Hein, 28%, so doing a great job, but just managing that, even in the battle with Nick Manders. Because then, I was about to say, has got back up to the Ferrari of Angela Scott here, but goes wide onto the gravel yet again before obviously entering the final corner. Not where you want that to happen, really. You don't want to be, you know, arrested before you get into a good position to attack on this start-finish straight. You know, as it stands, 5/10 gap between them. Not able to attack this time into turn one. We'll have to wait another lap. Oh, as he locks up there briefly as he gets past the 296 as well. Somehow has kept the gap fairly even between them and Scotty, despite the lockup, obviously, and despite the 296. Here's a Corvette. Will it be the same? The the Ferrari going obviously wide, getting around it, and straight again into the slipstream of the Porsche, and actually closed up the gap a bit. But now here comes the twisty stuff. Not much time, not much opportunity to get it done unless there's an error made, or unless the door's left open by your opponents. Just keeping up with them, and don't make a mistake yourself. That's the best thing you can do at this point. Another lapped car to get round. It's a bit tighter there on the entry compared to the Porsche as well. Again here, just cutting a bit more of the corner through the final sector. Bit of understeer slightly there. The Porsche, we can see, just jump away with the advantage of getting a better exit in that one corner. Goes wide onto the gravel. Does this give the Ferrari a chance to attack though in a crucial moment? Final corner onto the brakes, obviously keep it nice and close, get on the power as soon as you can for the run onto the start finish straight in the slipstream, obviously under the wing of the Porsche ahead. Scotty, obviously knowing they're coming under attack, defends to the inside of the track, keeps an eye on their mirrors as they approach the braking zone for turn one. Gap's a lot closer than it was last time, but is it close enough? Goes slightly deeper, does the Ferrari, sorry, trying to open up maybe a move, get something done, taking a slightly different line than the Porsche through turn two, sorry. Here's turn 3 now. Sticking with the Porsche, nice and tidy. It's getting tighter and tighter through. He's trying to carry a bit more speed, trying to shave off meters of the track. A bit of a lock-up from the Porsche up front, trying to break a bit later, trying to keep the gap to the Ferrari where they can, knowing they're weaker here. And that's a vicious cycle as well. If you know the guy behind you can break 3-5 meters later than you at certain corners, you know, you're incentivized, you're pressured to try and be quicker through the corners, try and break later, and that can obviously make it worse and make you even slower in that rise. We see another major lockup. This time goes very deep, has to let off the brakes, does the Porsche of Scotty, runs out wide unfortunately, and that lets the Ferrari of El Blancos at least alongside, definitely alongside, and just ahead, and now nips ahead, and that's job done, at least for now. Obviously having slightly better tyres, I'm sure, at this because it again runs onto the gravel in the final sector. Just not learning their lesson, or maybe just keeping an eye on their mirrors there from Angela, trying to stay ahead of them now. Does have a Mustang to get past, and they do so with ease as they enter the final corner yet again, after the battle's all said and done this time. Tom Watson here leads from chases Dave Spiller, Porsche on Porsche again, this time in the same livery. We've got a Ferrari 499, I think they're called, as well in the background. That's Daniel Chevelle, who slips on by past Tom Watson, easy peasy. Next up is Dave Spiller, not so easy, but does have a good amount of pace and gets past. And you know, it's funny because you have the context of two cars battling each other, and suddenly here comes another car that's so much quicker. It just shows you how much speed there is to have in these corners as the Porsches go side by side, twinsies towards turn one. Bit of a bang there, wheel banging there towards turn one onto the brakes. Again, a 296 there. No issue with that though. It's out of the way at the corner. The Porsche of Tom Watson slightly losing the rear, I think, compromised them, tucks underneath the lapping cars though, whereas Dave Spiller, Tom Watson has to go round them, and that gave Dave Spiller the opportunity to sneak on by.
Let's see if that works now. I'm back.
Hello. Gotta watch that on a replay because it was so fantastic. I'm sorry. If I can catch it. Here we go. Lapping traffic. Dave Spiller, sneaky peeky, gets underneath them and gets past.
Yeah, that's a nice pass. That was a really nice pass.
I was going to say, I think that was Matthias Chiskin, but here is Matthias Chiskin. Facing the wrong way. Gets going again, obviously, but you know, there's tyres. It's so hard as well when, what is this, round 5? And they've obviously driven LMU before, and in practice sessions, they've got to adapt to this new time model. They can't fall back to that automatic mode of, you know, trusting the tyre in a part of the corner, that phase of the corner, in the same way they did before. It's all new. It's all, you know, rewiring the brain, coming away obviously from ATC, which was hard on the brakes, turn in, boom, easy peasy. LMU, and now LMU's new time model. It's a lot of mental work to remain on top of.
And it's really easy actually to just think, oh, I've got scripts for this now. I think you go into this kind of this like mode where you think you've got it all sorted and you can just drive without even thinking about it, and then it'll bite you in the ass. So it's actually really difficult to kind of get that mentality. Is you really need to stay focused for the whole race, and it, you know, one slip and it's all over.
Yeah, you know, and I said this earlier. Each corner, you know, each lap as the car, you know, the fuel burns off, the tyres, there's a slight bit of degradation, maybe there's some damage, maybe you've got some dead air. Every time it feels different, and every time the corners somehow feel so much longer now because you're concentrating on maintaining that balance, not coming off the brake too quick, you know, not turning in too much. It's everything matters now. Can't get on the throttle too quick, can't go off the, you know, everything is important. You can't be lazy about, oh yeah, in the corner, come off the brakes, because suddenly, you know, the balance change of the cars, the weight transfer, everything matters. You can't bang down the downshifts and so on and so on. And it is a lot of work, and as I say, they have to stay on top of it throughout the entire race. Just like Dave Spiller is almost on top of Tom Watson. I'm sorry, the other way around even. These two Porsches still battling against each other. I cannot wait to have the reason in the game. Another reason, obviously, being that we can identify who's who.
Yeah, absolutely. Really interesting to see. And I just want to mention this, Ben Shorley, 23 seconds ahead of Alfie Bevan. This is unheard of.
Yeah. It is. It's well, yeah, unheard of. And actually, the gap, James Cowley to Alfie Bevan, 44 seconds. So really is, you know, actually Ben Shorley's a minute up the road. It's incredible. This Dave Chevelle has a big moment. Where is he? Off in the gravel somewhere, way off the piece. Let's have a little look how that happened.
Yeah, you just saw the curve, didn't you? Just the bump of the curve, and it just, he fully lost it, and he's in a different continent by the time he finished that accident.
Well, you know, he's coming in with way too much speed, really, and, you know, the car rolls, it's sliding, it's unsteering all the way, and then it meets that curve, as you say, and that just removes the contact between the tyre and the track and sends him off on his way to Asia, really. Yeah, you know, carrying too much speed, root cause of that. Tom Watson, who's ahead of Daniel Chevelle now, gets past the Mustang there, and still on the back, still on the back of Dave Spiller, who's feeling the pressure, I'm sure, of that Porsche in his mirrors here. Really is being hustled lap after lap. Opening up the corner there is Tom Watson trying to get a run. And, you know, Dave Spiller's watching this. We saw him there react to the corner being opened up and thinking, maybe I could do that. Maybe that's the best way through the corner. So, you know, you have to constantly learn. You know, you think you go into a race and, well, I could only do a 139.0, whatever it is. A car behind you is doing 138.5. You know, you're sure you're trying now to do 138.5. That's a cert. As these two still battle on, and actually this is our closest battle on track. As I say, maybe some of the drivers just on the endurance mode, eking out that vert energy to have a shorter stop than their opponents.
And surprisingly, how much it will actually save you time as well. By doing another lap, another 2 laps by fuel saving will actually save you like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds in the pit lane, and can actually make or break your race.
Yeah, exactly. Jacob Hine isn't in the pit lane. I've just been lied to. We'll ignore that. Currently going through Sector 1. Naturally, we can see they're on track, by the way. Jacob Hine, who's 5th in the hypercar field. Look at the mini-map. Ben Shawley is the diamond here now, who's black. So really, he's about to lap. He's lapped already most of the hypercar field. But he's about to lap P6. We'll be lapping P5 and P4 shortly. I cannot believe that pace, to be honest. Ben Shawley's best lap, 140.5. And this just shows you as well the difference in deg and everything else with the temperature. 140.5 is his best lap. 143 was his last lap, 143.2. So there's so much time there lost. So maintaining those tyres a little bit more really seems to make the difference. And I'm just looking even further. As I say, Ben Shawley's best lap, 140.5. Nick Manders, 144. Cowley, 144. Bevan, 141.3. So astonishing difference in pace there as Jacob Hine now does pit, actually. So, yeah, incredible pace from Ben Shawley. I guess he's just been doing this track non-stop since the update, because that's the only way I can imagine him being this quick, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously dialing in a setup that you're comfortable with, practicing a whole lot. You know, if you've been on it pretty much for the last 4 days or so, you're going to get good at it, aren't you? And you're going to be really, really confident in what you can do. The only thing that will be different will be the likes of the weather conditions you do it in and the track conditions. But if you've got a setup that you're comfortable with and you feel you can push, then you're going to be absolutely laughing. And yeah, Ben Shawley's well ahead at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. As more and more drivers pit, so yeah, your prediction was quite right, around the 50 minutes hour mark, as these two actually raced to the pit lane. That was incredible. I've never seen that before.
Tom Watson just overtake Spiller going into the pits.
He did, and I'm going to watch it again.
That is absolutely epic.
Oops. This is Dave Spiller coming through the final corner. Gets something done on Tom Watson. Tom Watson here side by side into the pit lane, onto the brakes, just ahead. And obviously now Unger's a pit limiter. You can't overtake me now, sir. And now it's a race to who can have the shortest pit stop.
We'll soon know if Tom's got it wrong when he has to do a drive-through the next lap.
Indeed. As Alfie Bevan also enters the pits. James Cowley, Ben Shawley obviously remain out. But let's watch this battle. See if I can get this camera. And then if I do... Oops. Where are they? There we go. So 52 seconds stopped was Alfie Bevan. Dave Spiller currently stopped for 57 seconds and obviously counting. So clearly a difference in strategy there. Tom Watson, obviously, who spent a little bit longer getting to his pit box before getting up on the jacks. Let's see who blinks first. So there's not much else going on right now except for Charlie Morgan having a spin, I think.
Yeah, we see that Spiller moving, and yeah,
just left
Tom's staying where he is.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a difference between maybe 2 tyres and 4.
Well, the difference stopped is 3 seconds, so yeah, possibly. Yeah.
That would suggest maybe 1 tyre changed extra for someone, or 1 less for someone.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a look then at the tyres and how these guys have come out. So, Tom Watson, hard and medium, Dave Spiller, mediums only. As well, so there's not much information there, except that it looks a bit different to when we saw it at the beginning of the race, where we had this block of drivers on mediums and the rest on hards and mediums, or vice versa. Can't quite remember how that was. By the way, Ben Shawley, by the way, in the pits in that Peugeot. Great looking machine, by the way, is this Peugeot. Incredible stuff. And obviously exits. 53 seconds stopped was Shawley. So 1 second longer than Alfie Bevan, but obviously not as long as Dave Spiller and Tom Watson, as is a yellow flag for Tyler Hammer. You can believe it.
No, he hasn't had many of them today.
Let's have a look what happened. I mean, it looks to be driving slowly here, but I think the hypercars are skewing that context. Oh, just lose it. It almost looked like the rush of air was enough to blow that Corvette round.
Yeah, Tyler's not had a great. He was raving about the Corvette round Qatar earlier on today, saying how good it was, and unfortunately, it's just not worked out for him today. But after the pit cycles, the Kiesik's obviously come out 14 seconds clear of Atul Baskar. Baskar, is that 15 seconds Yaroshenko's behind Baskar, or is that a second between the two?
So that is 15 seconds is the interval. So yeah, this is 15 seconds is the gap, not to the leader. So yeah. I think, by the way,
Just got to give it a shout out that Temenga's holding fourth, and Townsend, after a few issues, is remained fifth. So good effort from these guys. As you see, is Scotty jumped Elvin in the pits there?
I think so. Yeah, I'm trying to look at this. Yeah, Elvin in the Ferrari. Scotty in the Porsche there. Time stopped. Scotty 51 seconds. Elvin. It's broken my timing screen. Is what he's done. I don't know. It doesn't tell me how long he stopped. That's annoying. For some reason, he's the only one that says 0. So great job there, Alvin. Thank you very much.
Trust Elvin to break something.
Yeah. Well, usually it's his car, but yeah, this time it's my lap. Yeah. But either way, Elvin Blomqvist remains. I think he jumped Angela in the pits, doesn't he? Oh, if only we were more competent and could keep track of these things.
Bit of stuff's happened. We're like, I don't know what's happening. We'll just go with it.
Honestly, yeah. Either way, though, Elvin Blomqvist 5 places up from the start of the race. As you said, started from the back for some reason. So great job to move up 5 places. Daniel Chevelle yet to stop, up 3 places, having a bit of a scrappy race it seems so far. Nick Mander's holding steadfast in 6th in the Ferrari. Drop back from Jacob Hind, who seems to have jumped him in the pits by spending, I should say, 3 seconds less in the pit lane than Nick Manders did, and now the gap is 1-point-something seconds. So that's tiny things, but they add up. So suddenly you're out on track and you're the wrong way around by a second, and you have to spend a lot of effort and a lot of work to get back that second and get past the other driver. So little things they add up, particularly in these longer races.
Yeah, it can be, like you said, fuel saving. It can be 1 tyre changed extra.
Yeah.
It could be all manner of things, and that's what makes this so much more interesting than what ACC was. It's these little nuances. With ATC, you changed tyres, you had 30 seconds. Fuel. Okay, fuel was a bit different. You had a fuel only stop. It would depend how much fuel you put in. With these, it's based on how many. You don't have to change all 4 tyres. You can change 1. You can change 2, 3, or all of them, and it will give you a time per tyre. So there's all these different strategy calls that you can make. For those, certainly the types of like Andy Hearn and people like who love strategy racing, they're going to love this sim. For me, I'm not clever enough. So I just do whatever.
Yeah, and you mentioned fuel there, and even in this, it's not as simple as I need a bit more fuel. This, that, the other. The cars are balanced. In ACC, you go, well, I've got a bit of a bigger fuel tank. I'm more fuel efficient. I'll stay out longer. I don't have to stop. In this, obviously, you have the balance of performance by the virtual energy system, which makes it a bit more interesting to get on strategy, where you won't have these cars who can do the race without stopping, and you have to have a longer race to compensate for that. Every car is roughly balanced as Charlie Morgan decides to slide his way to the tyre barrier there, which I'm definitely going to watch again. The cars are balanced by virtual energy.
Clip.
Yeah. Let's have a little look then. Obviously lapping another car. In the Porsche goes Charlie. Is he just going to step out the rear for no reason? Onto the gravel yet again. By the way, these drivers struggling with learning that. Yeah, just snaps back onto the massive ocean of gravel.
Haven't they put a load of lights where you were going to spin there as well? Did you see that? And little floodlights.
I didn't see that.
It's like crash here.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Well, Charlie doesn't need to be told to crash here to do it. So. Moving on. Nick Manders chasing down Jacob Hyde. Bit of deja vu, really. Jacob's obviously able to get past him in the stop. 43 minutes to go. Feels like a long time, but it does go pretty quickly. To be fair, it does have a BMW to deal with. Closes the gap a little bit for Nick, helps him out a little bit there, but can't be too eager. It's so easy to see a car up front struggling and be a bit too eager at getting on the throttle. Because how many times I've done it, probably every time I've seen an opportunity, I myself have made a mistake where you go through a corner, the driver ahead makes an error, you get on the power too early or something, and you too make an error, and it just neutralizes itself. So it's so easy to be too eager when your opponent makes a mistake, as we see a cloud of dust there from the Alpine flicking up the gravel.
Yeah, and you're right, but it's, and when you're in that battle and the blood is pumping and you're trying to overtake, is that a scrub coming in again?
For a second stop, yeah. So
I wonder if he's short-fueled and maybe didn't quite have enough, or I wonder what. That's an interesting choice. That's going to drop him right down the order. But whether he thinks everyone else is going to have to pit again, I wonder whether he's just short-fueled this time round and now he's going for his full tank of virtual energy. And
I think it's a drive-through.
Oh.
Yeah, we get to watch it live. Yep.
Yeah, you are right. That is a drive-through.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But it's the second one we've seen, I think, tonight. It's an odd one because I wouldn't have expected it from just looking at the nature of the track, but seeing the drivers carry a bit more speed through these corners, go into that gravel constantly, run wide constantly. It kind of makes a bit of sense. And there's 41 minutes left. How many more of those will we see? Really, that's a wonder. I think, speaking of the gravel, by the way, from a driving perspective, would you prefer there was no gravel and it's up to the track limits to police it, or would you rather there be gravel and no track limits points? I know this was a topic in F1 somewhat recently.
I think gravel was a good thing.
Yeah.
Also, there's two things. Gravel. Yeah, if you get onto the gravel, it slows you down. Mm-hmm. So in theory, you don't gain anything. So it's self-policing in theory. But also, it makes it look like a racetrack.
Yeah.
There's too many racetracks that are just all tarmac or runoff, and they don't look like racetracks anymore.
Yeah.
I think that old school kind of, we come from England, so we have parks that have grass and and gravel, and it's the part of, even Spa to a certain extent used to have gravel and grass, and now it doesn't, and it's like, let's go back to that. And if you do get on the grass, you can lose your car. If you get in the gravel, you're going to be slowed up. You're not going to gain anything. A lot of these tracks they have to have these track limits, and you see the signs on the side when you're driving, by the curbs or whatever, that you have to be inside them boards before before the corner's finished. That could just completely be negated. I don't know what it is. They have all these nice. Look at this track, for instance. We have nice blue painted tarmac, and Visit Qatar all over it, and we see that a lot. But let's go back to old school tracks that are going to have. They're going to punish you. You look at a Brands Hatch, a punishing track. If you get off track, you don't need a track warning, because you punished yourself by going out onto the grass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's bring back forests and trees.
Yeah. The old Hockenheim. That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Alex Parker, by the way, knocking on the door of Tyler Hammer in his Ferrari, and obviously Tyler in his Corvette with a fresh set of boots, I think, at this point. So I don't imagine many spins are on their way. I hope he's learned his lesson. Obviously Peugeot coming on by, and that reminds me, Speaking of Peugeot, that's Ben Shirley. Obviously, after all the pits are said and done, let's see where the next driver at the road, is. Nope, he's lapped a lot of them, but the rest are kind of safely out the way. I'm seeing Daniel Chevelle was driving, so I think it's just a hairpin. I've been lied to. But Alex Parkin is our closest battle on track at the moment. Doing well. Haven't seen many instances from them, which is a very good sign considering this. A lot of the other drivers are struggling. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, Parkin, who doesn't have a lot of time to practice, and obviously has probably less time to practice on a new track than many, but he's still, plodding along and sitting currently, 8th, 9th in class, so that's a good effort. 7th? Good haul of points. 7th, there you go.
3 places since the start of the race, so fantastic job.
Yeah, so a good haul of points for Alex there, and I don't think this is over. Gained about 2/10 in this lap so far. So if you can stick to the back of Tyler, Tyler's had a lot of practice at LMU, so probably don't learn off Tyler today though, because you'll be spinning. But you can judge where a driver's good, and you can judge where a driver's struggling, and if you can make that work for you, there's every chance you'll get a pass. And it'll be good to see Parkin. Probably won't get inside the top 5, but 6 will be a great effort if you can get past Tyler.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, looking at the gaps, Tyler Hammer 28 seconds away from Matt Townsend, and I'm not surprised. It's a new circuit, as we were saying. There is going to be that difference in confidence, how much some of the drivers are willing to push the car, how much time they've had to practice. Obviously, a lot of the drivers here have families, have lots of commitments, so there is going to be a big difference in that compared to, say, Monza or Spa or something like that. Great job. Up 3 places, I said. And actually, by the way, here's a little stat you can take right to the bank, Alex. You've got your faster KPH achieved in every sector in Tyler Hammer. So there you go.
There you go. So you've got to make that pass stick now, mate, when you get there. You've got the pace to do it, so you've got the car to do it. Let's see. But of course, knowing Tyler's luck today, he'll have a spin and it'll all be over and Alex will get the position anyway.
Indeed. Someone I have just seen in chat, speaking of spins, Patielnek joins us in chat, so welcome. Unfortunately, because he's had to retire from the race.
Oh dear. Big crash. I assume it was a big crash, Petter.
It was a crash, but not the car variety. It seems like the game variety, it seems, according to the chat, yes.
That old chestnut. When you accidentally hit F4, yeah.
We do. Oh, speaking of Alta Force, no. Alex Parkin has left the battle there, left the building. Doesn't seem to have too much of an issue there. Gets going again though, right away. Obviously doesn't lose any positions, just a bit of time there. Finds himself, it looks like, by the way, between 2 Corvettes. So a bit of a Corvette sandwich for Alex Parkin. And actually, I've just seen... Oh no, I've been lied to by the time screen. Ignore me. Oh, actually, I have just seen something else. Look at that timing screen. How many people are in the Porsche? It's Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche. Unbelievable.
Yeah. It was the same on ACC though, wasn't it? Everyone loved the Porsche for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's, but there you go. There's lots of other nice hypercars and GT3s you can go racing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that we don't have the new cars in this race, by the way.
No, you're right. Good point. Yeah. Very good point.
We don't have anybody in the Lexus or anybody in the Lamborghini.
Indeed, Jacob Hein runs very wide there. That's a shame because they are great. They are great cars in their own right, but they're obviously great to see. New stuff. Alpine. I'm just listening to this Alpine at the moment. It just sounds incredible. I didn't really appreciate it before, but as there's no battles going on currently, by the way, if anyone wants to see any particular car, you're more than welcome to suggest it.
I think we should go and watch Tim Bob.
I was just thinking that. We'll actually go inside Tim Bob's helmet. There we go.
Yeah, he's a guy that's picked up this game for the first time and went, I absolutely love this game. And it's just plodded on. I think he's doing really well in the Wednesday Championship. I'm pretty sure he's like up there in the standings, doing a really great job, loving the sim, and has joined the oNiD Academy team as well. So really good. And if for anyone watching, if you want to be involved in the oNiD Academy, obviously you have to be a part of the Academy races on Wednesday. But we're going to be looking for drivers throughout the next 12 months. We've got this rotating kind of revolving door type situation where we're, Dave Wood and Scrub are going to be looking at drivers that come through the academy, join the academy team, do some endurance racing, whether it be 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12, 24s. Give you guys a bit of a bit of support, and then with the aim to move people up into the oNiD racing team, or into the oNiD racing stronger team, and build teams, because things happen in life, so we have a nice revolving door where people can't always race, and move people up, or even if you just want to come and do the academy, and you might get a chance to go drive somewhere else and be part of a team. But it's a good learning experience. So if you are involved in that academy on a Wednesday and want to be part of the oNiD team, do let yourself know to Dave Wood, and we will have a chat and get you guys in there. But Tim is one of the new guys joined. We've got people like Hosvet Nazarian's joined, Tim Bob's joined, Dave Spiller and Tommy are also part of that academy team as well, and they're in today's race. So great to see, and the aim is to move people up into the main oNiD team as well. So always nice. I've always had this idea for this, and I think we've got a new game and a fresh start to do it with. And Sam, I think you were part of the academy team once upon a time, weren't you?
Once upon a time, yeah. I was back in ACC once I learned to stop crashing into people. That was when I was still driving the Audi, which was I still mourn the loss of the Audi, but yeah, it was a long time ago. But it's great because suddenly you're in this team, you can learn from each other, you can talk to each other, you can participate in team events. But obviously, if you're on your own, you don't really have the ability to do so. So it's great. It's really good. Lots of new things you can learn, and honestly, so much fun you can have. So it was great.
Yeah, always good to have a progression for our drivers as well, and obviously we're supported by Sim Hound in that venture as well, which is really good. And you've got your own team on LMU that you'll be part of, and you're going to have your own liveries as well to be part of that team. With the aim to get in the purple livery, at the end of it, which is really, really good. And we've got some good drivers now racing for oNiD, and it's a good environment, isn't it, Sam, where we all help each other and try and get help each other with setups and support people getting better at the game as well. And it was very good in ACC, and it's going to be fantastic in LMU. But people like we've got the quick boys, we've got Alfie, we've got Cowley, we've got Jacob Hine that race for us. Good chance to learn from them. And something slightly different, actually, talking about the academy, and I won't go on about it too long. Obviously, it's a bit of a lull in the action, so it's probably a nice time to have a chat about it. But there is actually something we are going to do is actually, when the academy guys drive in endurance races, you're going to have a pro driver with you, or a pro driver, exclamation marks, with you, to help you. So the ones listed at the minute is myself, Stevie Bain, Ben Brown, Dave Wood and Nick Manders. Obviously Nick and Dave actually do manage the team, so there'll be a team you can team with a pro driver, and they will help you as well. So you're not just going to be lumped in a team together and said, right, here you go, off you go and go and do some endurance racing. Well, you'll actually have a quicker driver with you to be able to help you and actually get some good results and get that good feeling about it. So we'll all cycle that round depending on how many teams we enter into stuff, and there'll be people available at all times. So that'd be quite a good learning experience, especially learning from someone like from Stevie or a Dave, who are pretty quick in hypercar, whereas myself and Ben are quite quick in GT3. So there's and Scrub being quick in hypercar as well. So you've got a nice balance. If you want to put in a GT3 team, then me and Ben are probably your people to go to. If you want to put in a hypercar team, one of the others is one to go to. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works throughout the next kind of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, and you're bang on. Absolutely nobody is quicker than Stevie Bain at getting a drive-through. But, and the banter's top notch. Charlie Morgan, speaking of banter, is off the track. Currently outside the last corner there, rejoins nice and quickly, obviously. Decides, that's it, I'm going to the pits, I want some new tyres for the third time, perhaps. This is his third trip through the pit lane. Either that or he's taken another drive through, which we've seen some other drivers also do tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, what the reason is.
Yes, can we lobby for Studio 397 to give us a indicator who's got a penalty?
Occasionally, and I mean really occasionally, we get a little pop-up at the top of the screen that says penalty, Morgan. I haven't seen that at all tonight, so I don't know what it decides to do, when it decides to do that, but yeah, you're right. It would be very useful to have that, just, you know, if anyone's listening. Anyone. But yeah, unfortunately we have no idea. I think that was a drive-through, so another driver succumbing to the track limits tonight, and that's the leader, Ben Shawley, flashing his lights at the Porsche of Charlie Morgan as he was slightly impeded going through turn 1. But come on, you've got 38 seconds between you and P2. I don't think it matters too much. And actually, further down the order, you've got 62 seconds between James Cowley and Duffy Bevan, so really, it doesn't matter too much.
No, incredible that, you know, such a big gap, and obviously some people have taken to the track more than others. So I think next week back at Monza, I think he'll be a lot closer, and the gaps will be. But obviously this is a learning race, and obviously there's not so many cars this week. Some people might not have got the DLC. We understand that. So the gaps is not always going to be them battles. You're not going to be, you know, your mate you might battle week in, week out, might not have the DLC, so might not be here, or might be away doing something. Obviously it's Le Mans weekend as well. If you're all hardcore Le Mans fans, you've stayed up for a ridiculous amount of hours and didn't want to race tonight, so we understand all these things, you know. So the gaps are big tonight, but I think they'll be back at Monza next week. I think they'll be a lot smaller, and the racing will be a lot closer. And it's not the Curva Grande version of Monza next week, it is the full first chicane version.
Fully fledged. I do like Monza, to be fair. I know it's rather simplistic, but I still think it's a good track, good little circuit. Nice, relax for 100 minutes in a race when you turn the wheel 3 times in 2 minutes. It's great. But no, there's a lot of strategy to it still. I know it's just a straight line, but it makes the corner exits even more crucial.
Yes.
You know, so it's good.
Especially coming out of the Parabolica. Not so much when you've got, obviously that first chicane, but when you've got the Monza Curva Grande, you really need to be able to stick to the car in front of you, or try and get away from the car behind you, because that slipstream effect down into the Curva Grande is ridiculous, as we see Vesti having another spin. The Americans are not used to turning right, obviously.
Seems that way. Behind a Porsche. Let's see what happened to Ralph Vest. Slides the rear out big time, and I'm going to be honest, it didn't look like there was too much counter steering going on either, so yeah, maybe try harder next time. We see a lot of drivers succumbing to that. I just
try harder. You might as well have just told him to get good.
I'm speechless. Ralph is coming to the pit lane, possibly. I know this looks like for a stop. Yeah, we've seen driver after driver having an issue with track limits and losing the rear. And we said before the race as well, the Corvette is an interesting beast. It's mid-engined. It's not the easiest thing. Throw in the new tyre model, sure, it's a bit tricky. So at least it's still going, and at least he's still P8 in class. So great stuff there. Although Alex Parkin isn't really too far behind. You know, we can see him approaching the final corner now. Obviously, Ralph Vest, who's changing his tyres, is up off his jacks now, so he was stopped for 26 seconds. He's now trundling down the pit lane as Alex Parkin comes on by. We see the gap at the bottom of the screen growing slightly, actually. I think Ralph Vest... Is it growing? I think we're being lied to again, because he's actually past Ralph Vest. Oh, it's growing because he's going in the other direction. I'm very slow tonight. I'm sorry, everyone. It took me way too long to understand what was happening there. I just
couldn't fathom what was going on.
Why is it growing? It's getting closer. The other guy's in the pit lane. No, he's past him, and it's growing in the other direction. Oh, goodness. 25 minutes to go. Hopefully. Oh, go on.
One gap that is growing is Keating on Bascar. He's nearly up to 20 seconds. Keating's having a quality race, and he's been quietly pulling away from Bascar, and Bascar's having a solid effort again from Attel, and he looked like at the early stages of the race that he might actually put on a big race for Keating, but I don't know if he had a spin early doors and it just cost him 10 seconds or so, didn't it?
Yeah, possibly. Christian Keating last lap, 1:59 dead, by the way. 2 minutes, 0.5 was Attel Bascar's last lap. But one thing I've noticed in the hypercar field, with the exception of Ben Chorley, which I'll talk about in a moment. All the drivers seem to be lapping about 44, 45, 1 minute 44, 45. So they've overcome that kind of initial understanding where, you know, how much grip the tyres have for each corner and where the best place to brake is. They're all lapping fairly evenly. So they've obviously gotten over that confidence or, you know, that learning bit at the beginning of the race, as Charlie Morgan has another issue. And so, you know, that's what I was saying earlier on in the race, which is crucial. As you said, strike while the iron's hot. You feel like you're quicker than the car ahead. Car ahead still learn the track, take advantage of that. But as is the case at the moment, Ben Chorley lapping in the 142s, everyone else 2 seconds slower than that. So Chorley has no issue at this stage of the race, and unless he has a major off, and I mean major, probably will come home first place with Alfie, not Alfie, 43 seconds behind.
You just tried to curse him, that's what you tried to do, towards the end of the race. Battle going on. Hughes goodness, I caught up with Tim Bob.
Let's have a little look. Where is he? Tim Bob. Here we go. Fuskin Tim Bob. You're right. You are right indeed. Yeah, gap is non-existent because these guys are side by side. The Ferrari trying to cut underneath, but Tim Bob covers it off slightly through this little kink that is turn 15 as they approach the final corner. Obviously, Porsche Hypercar getting on by without an issue. Tim Bob goes through the final corner, knowing how crucial it is. The Ferrari goes to the outside, trying to carry a bit more speed into the slipstream of Tim Bob now. Crosses the start-finish line, obviously approaches turn 1. Will it be a move onto the brakes with the driver sticking to the outside? Ferrari looks to the inside, feels the mirror of the McLaren, obviously onto the brakes now. Tim Bob just has it covered, I think. I say that, I'm completely wrong. Goes very wide. Juno 6 soars on by and leaves Tim Bob to think about what he's done.
Yeah, bless him. He went a little bit wide there, didn't he? And just got caught out, and Fusco managed to get on by fairly easily. I was just kind of having a look at Tim Bob, currently second in the championship in the Academy Series in that McLaren. So he's doing a really good job and learning the game really well. He's second only to Atul Bhaskar, and he's currently beating Brendan Rooney. So, and we know how Brendan used to be on ACC, so that's a great effort. And there's oh look, we've got our current standings. How am I? No, that's a lie. I'm not fourth. But yeah, you can see Alfie currently actually. So, let's go and have a look. Have you got them? Are they the live standings or the ones as of last week?
They should be. Oh, well, as of last week, as in from last week's result. Oh, I see what you're saying, without the minus 15.
Alfie's actually on 86 now with Aidan and James Canley. They're all joint first because Alfie got a penalty.
Ah, okay.
So actually finished second, and Elvin's actually up to fourth with 70 points, and Scotty is dropped down to fifth with 60 points. That's the hypercar one. So yeah, Alfie is tied with Cowley and Aidan Carr. Obviously, Aidan Carr not here this evening, and then in GT3. You're absolutely right. Fuskin is fifth. I am fourth. God knows how. But that will all change tonight. And obviously Kiesig will extend that lead. Bhaskar will expand his second place, and then obviously Tyler will probably use this as a drop round. So we'll still have 70 points, and obviously I'll use a drop round as well. So I'll probably drop out behind Fuskin. But luckily for me, Yellowneck's had a disconnect. Fuskin's down the order a little bit. Thorpe's not here today, so I'll probably hopefully stay in that within that top 5, ready to be back at Monza next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so quickly, sneakily update this. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Nobody saw anything. Yeah, indeed. And as I say, there is a bit of a lull at the moment. So we've obviously got next week, as you mentioned, Monza, which I'm looking forward to because it's Monza. Followed by Spa, and we're going to be finishing this series, the 8th round, Sebring, which will be interesting, I think. Very, very interesting, particularly with the new tyre model. And particularly as it's still so close in the standings. Obviously, we've got a couple drop round, which means there's a bit of delay in seeing what the series actually looks like. But we're now finishing round 5, and it's still very, very, very close. So it is going to be very interesting all through to the end there. It's not going to be said and done, I think, until the last drivers cross the line at Sebring. Yeah,
especially you absolutely spot on, especially now with Ben Chorley coming into the series, obviously joined late on, so it's his first race, and obviously he's going to get a fair few points. And in theory, he's missed 2 rounds and he's dropped 2 rounds, so because he missed the first 4. So every result for Ben's going to count towards his points total. So he's going to have to really kind of push on and do the best he can to try and get up there. But if he wins the next 4 races, we could be really, really, really interesting towards the end. Obviously, you've got Alfie leading the way in hypercar with Aidan and James, and obviously that's going to change a little bit tonight. But you get good performances from Scotty, who's currently 5th in the standings. She's currently sitting 5th on track. Jacob's having a great day in 4th. So we've got all these. I don't think it's quite. Every race is slightly different. Some tracks suit other people. I had that feeling in ACC that if you were good in and settled in a car, it didn't matter what the track was doing, you'd have a good race. And championships seem to be over quite quick, or not quickly, but 1 or 2 rounds before the end, you kind of know who was going to win the title. Yeah. This one is right up until the death, like anything could happen. Especially, in GT3, Kiesig and Baskar trading punches. Tyler's had a win. I've had a podium this year. So's Matthias Fusgen. Jelinek's had a 4th. So, and they're all potential race winners. So anything could happen in that GT3 class, and the time order's going to shake it up completely anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point. One thing as well I've just seen on SimGrid. Next week we mentioned Monza, and we watched Fusgen spin as well while I talk about this. We mentioned Monza, and how maybe simplistic it is, and how much of how important it is to have a good run coming out of Parabolica. Well, it's going to be even more important because it's going to be, forecast to be raining, I think. I don't know if it's variable or raining, but there should be some interesting weather settings, I think. So,
it's solidly raining.
Solidly raining.
Yes.
Yeah, which I think a lot of drivers prefer than the not knowing. If it's raining and it's going to be raining, okay, wet setup, I'm good to go. If it's going to be, what if it's raining for only 10 minutes and this, that, there's so much more, work then suddenly, okay, I need to compromise the setup maybe, or what am I going to do for strategy? So at least there's that aspect of, well, I know it's going to be raining, I know what I'm going to be expecting, I can work with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we don't want to make it too easy for drivers. It will rain throughout, but we don't want to make it too easy for them. So throwing a little bit of variability in sometimes is good. Keeps people on their toes, makes people think. Makes you a good all-round sim racer as well. It means you can do them changeable conditions, especially if you want to go to endurance racing, because very rarely nowadays you have an endurance race that's solidly sunny, unless I try and set up it for rain and it goes wrong. But you have to be part of a team. You have to be able to race in on all conditions. So LMU rain's totally different as well. So not only have they got a GT3 tyre model to learn, they're going to have to do it in the wet next week, which is kind of mean, but I don't care.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, I did have a go at Monza as well earlier. And to be fair, it doesn't seem too bad. There's this minimal steering input really required at Monza, if I'm honest, so it shouldn't be too tricky, unlike, say, Interlagos or maybe Spa. So, yeah, throwing the rain to balance things out, and it'll be a good watch, that's for sure. And again, the strategy, rain, okay, less fuel, less tyres, obviously different tyre compounding in the wets, maybe less tyre usage, less tyre. So different things drivers think about as well. This would be very interesting. Nick Manders, by the way, finally got a battle because Nick Manders is closing down, bearing down on Angela Scott. Porsche on Porsche action for P5 in this race. This is the closest thing by far. Everyone's so far apart from each other now. These two will be, I think, the last battle we'll probably see, unfortunately. So we might as well watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good little battle towards the end of the race. Obviously, it's going to be a really good race, really. And had that drive-through as well, didn't he? So, done well to catch back up with Scotty. Whether Scotty's doing a bit of fuel saving as well to make sure that she can get to the end, maybe. So we'll just see. But it'll be interesting to see if Nick can get this done before the end of the race. It won't hurt his championship chances at all. A top 5 would be a great result. You can just see no steering really coming out of that corner. It was almost straight steering in that rear end, trying to over rotate on exit, on throttle alone. But had it nicely controlled under throttle as well. Didn't have to put too much input in it. Sometimes if you over input, that's when you can easily spin the car as well. So good job from Nick there. So yeah, let's see how he fights the wheel as well on exit.
Yeah, trying to get the power down, obviously, as he heads up towards turn 4. Looking at the versatility board, by the way, I mean, there's now under 10 laps remaining. I mean, Ben Shortley, we can see, he's coming to the final corner. So there's probably 9 laps, I think, left. Quick maths, it's 1:45 a lap. 14 minutes is 10 laps, something like that. Charlie Morgan, by the way, has stopped after having an issue. We can see his steering wheel completely the wrong way, and he's in the gravel there. We could use our imaginations. We'll watch Nick Manders instead. But anyway, yeah, so 9 laps to go. I think it's probably about 3% virtual energy usage on this circuit, something like that. It's quite a long lap, obviously. Lots of throttle, so lots of virtual energy. It's going to be close, I think. A lot of these drivers are going to be either absolutely nailing this or going to be really lifting and coasting on the final couple of laps.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if it shows on board actually their usage per lap. Sometimes it does, on some cars it does, it doesn't.
Sometimes, yeah. Oh, as Scotty runs onto the gravel, gives Nick a little bit of a look, but it's such a short run towards the next corner. There's not much room to do it. I don't think we can see it on this steering wheel, unfortunately.
No, some cars do, some cars don't. But yeah, you can see his ticking down. So he's got currently 24% on the 24% left. So yeah, if they're using 2.5, 3 a lap, it's going to be close. Whether they think they may have to do some fuel saving, whether we'll see someone dive in for a quick splash and dash in the last 10 minutes, maybe they all will do it. That's all the plan. You know, I'm looking at the likes of Watson's got 20%. It's going to be close. It's going to be really close. 2 minutes a lap, 5 laps, maybe 3. So what is it? It's 2 minutes, well, 140 a lap, say 145. So
yeah.
You're probably looking at 6, 7 laps at the most to finish, maybe. My maths is right.
Yeah.
So you'll be looking at about, if they're using 3% a lap, you can look at 21% usage between now and the end of the race, which is going to be a bit tight for some, but a bit of lifting. It's not that Ben surely can't lift the coast for a whole lap.
Yeah.
And still win by 30 seconds, so I don't think that'll be too much of an issue, especially when Bevan's in the same kind of percentage as them. Probably Cowley's probably thinking sitting pretty, but he's 60 seconds behind Bevan, so he's not going to catch that up. So these, that front 3 can really just control the race and make sure they're comfortable to get to the end.
Yeah, no, exactly. 59 seconds up the road is Alfie Bevan, and it's Ben Shorley, and 62 seconds up the road is Alfie Bevan. So, yeah, they've got plenty of room to play with. Alex Parkin is passing Ralph Fest. No, hold on. Nope, he's side by side. Sorry, yep, there we go.
Always Vest passing Parkin, even.
Possibly. There were a Corvette sandwich before. Now it's a bread ham situation. If you like.
Oh, dear.
It's been a long evening. 10 minutes to go. Yeah, Alex Parker just... I'm still 3 places, so they've got an improvement off the line, which is good. And obviously pointing in the right direction. So not too bad. Nick Manders still chasing down Angela Scott here. I was going to say Nick Manders has the lowest... not the lowest, but Scotty has 24% vertex energy. Manders 20%. So all Scotty has to do is hold on until they feel Nick Manders either sending it or really misjudging it, locks up big time on the brakes. Luckily avoids contact. A bit of cooperation that we saw, obviously Scotty getting out of the way to avoid the contact. Obviously it's one of those things where sure, the driver behind you makes a mistake, but do you really want your race to end like that? Do you want your damage? So it's a bit of cooperation there, and they obviously continue off in the order we watch them. And as Matthias Schutzgen recovers onto the track at turn 5 as well. But Nick Manders quickly to finish the point, 20% battery. Scotty has more than that. Scotty just has to hold on until Nick has to lift off and try and regain some energy before the end of the race. And I think that's when she can breathe last.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, if they're feel that Scrubs can go full chat to the end, then the battle becomes a little bit more interesting. You won't have that switch off point where you can just hold on knowing that he will have fuel save. So, but that's again, you don't know. You don't know you do know the fuel of the energy status of everyone else, but you don't know kind of how much it's going to affect their race or till it's right towards the end. So it's kind of a guessing game for all of the drivers. If Charlie's going to have another spin, isn't he?
Yeah. Onto the pages stuff. Almost held on to it. Kind of does.
If he'd have just driven into the pit wall there, I think I might have giggled.
That would have been incredible as the cars.
Oh, look at the next go.
Speed. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, so Charlie is picking up some skills. It only took several spins to get there. I'm not going to count the incidents because there's too many of them. But Charlie getting some skills out of nowhere. And, dodges Ralph Vest as well, who drops it coming out of turn 6 there. And I've clicked the wrong button. Have I clicked the wrong button?
I don't think so. Here we go. You spin me.
This is live.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah. Hold on.
My singing was wasted.
And I've either broken it really badly. Right, we'll do it that way. Okay. I think we'll give up on that one. Ralph S had an issue, we saw. He's back pointing the right way now, though. Yeah. There we go. Nick Manders, ever closer to Anders and Scotty, by the way.
Yeah, very close. Great. Seems to have got a great run out of the final corner as well, and then down the straight. Obviously, the same car. It will depend on setup, wing settings, all this kind of stuff. Obviously, Nick pulled out the slipstream very, very early. Going to have the inside. Scotty Braver on the brakes and covers the inside. Goes a bit wide, and I think Scrub's going to get that done.
Looks like it, but obviously we'll have to look at the virtual engine in a moment because Scotty has a lot more to play with. Nick is going to have to defend really heavily here as they go through sector 1. So close, almost pushing each other, really. Let's have a look. Oops. I'm breaking everything. Sticking with them for now. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, obviously Scotty has some, a good amount of pace there, enough to keep on with Nick, that's for sure. But getting past is so tricky, and we do see a bit of traffic coming up on the track. A few GT3 cars are going to have to navigate as well. It's going to be at least 6 minutes. Are going to feel like an eternity for Nick, I am sure, so long as Scotty is in his mirror there. And obviously he's got to get past that Mustang, which he does. Onto the brakes. Mustang's still there on the inside, which might just compromise Scotty there. It doesn't look like much, but when you've got a car on the inside, you're not quite sure where they're going to be. You do have to think about it for a second, and that costs you a moment getting on the power there. Daniel Chevelle, by the way, into the pits again at this late stage of the race for a drive-through, question mark? I think it might be.
Yeah, it looks to me like that is going to be a drive-through. Yeah, very end, very, very end of the pit lane. And yeah, Chevelle is going to lose some more time to Alvin Blunkvist, but will safely come out in 8th. No position. Oh, is that Scrub or Scotty?
It is Scrub. No, it's Scrub. It's Scrub. Let's have a little look. This is a replay, I think. Yep.
Did all the hard work.
Did all the hard work. Just drops it. Oh. That almost looks like a case of filling up the energy, and the rears just locked because they're not used to fill up the battery.
Yes, and that's another thing with you have to balance your energy use. Your hybrid, and you've got too little or too much hybrid. Your brakes are awful, and it's really difficult. And it's something you have to adjust as the race goes on. If I'm using too much, I need to bring it down, or I'm not using enough, I need to bring it up, and it can change so many times throughout the race. The only thing that kind of stays the same is your regen level.
Yeah, that's true. Tom Watson obviously going wide with the gravel there. It says on my screen he's asked for a pit stop. which will be its second in this race. So maybe a couple of the drivers is getting the strategy a bit wrong. I say that. Has it just emerged from the pits? Nope. Ignore me, and my time screen's lied to me again. Elvin Blomqvist, though, I'm not being lied to, has spun off from P7, remains P7 for now, I believe. Rejoins. We are going to attempt to watch that, but I think the replays are having a moment with this long race.
Oh,
here we go. Elvin, obviously, in the Ferrari hypercar, gets onto the gravel, just unsettles the car. Obviously, tyres degraded down, and obviously, brakes locked there. The wheels locked there, sorry. Not going to help whatsoever once it does get back onto the circuit.
No, and that is one thing that you do feel as well, is if you flat spot those tyres, you do feel it. I remember flat spotting mine very early on in a 24-hour Le Mans race that I did. And going down the Mulsanne was horrific.
Yeah.
You're just rattling, absolutely rattling, like in your rig, rattling to death. So yeah, it won't be good if you flat spotted them tyres. That's going to be, I know there's only a couple of minutes left, but it will heavily affect your pace. Hopefully, you're just going to hope you got a big enough gap to be able to manage that until the end.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's hard enough to brake effectively, really, in LMU as it is. Throw in a bit of flat spotting, and it's a compounding issue. Like there's a new ABS stuff as well, so maybe it's a bit easier to manage. Let's ride on more with the Alpine for a lap or so. Doesn't sound so good from the inside, I must say, as from the track cam. So I think we'll stick with the track cam, as Matt Townsend has an issue. We won't get to replay because I think we're pushing it with the LMU at the moment. But we'll watch him recover there. Very dirty, really scuffed Mustang is that. It looks great, doesn't it, to see a used race car. Like, if you go to the pits after a race or something, and obviously the cars are all full of flies and everything else, it almost looks like that, which is great.
Yeah, and if you watched Le Mans on the weekend, you saw the fly on the screen, like the fly splatter on the screen and stuff, was incredible, and you'd see a little bit there to a certain extent. You got a bit of dirt on the screen, and I'm hoping they're going to bring into like tear-offs and stuff, and when you go into your pitch, you can have your screen cleaned, because obviously as the longer races happen, your car does get dirty, and it does look really good. It looks like the car's been worn.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that wasn't Daniel Chevelle. Who was that? Did you catch that? Or was that netcode? I'm going to flick through these really quickly. I'm sorry. Am I seeing? Who was that?
I didn't see anything.
Who were we just watching? Matt Townsend?
Yeah.
Alright, we'll do back to a replay. I don't know who that was. In the background, there is a Ferrari hypercar, and it zooms to hyperspace, or into China or something. Let's have a quick watch again. There it goes. Did you see that then? There it goes.
That was
just rejoins.
It's the yellow one, so it'll be Blomqvist.
Yeah, it must be. As Jacob Hein recovers from an issue, down to fourth now. Unless they were always fourth, and again.
Oh, they were always fourth.
Yep.
It's been a long day, hasn't it?
Yep.
But yeah, Scotty's managed to, Townsend's off. Yeah, unfortunately for Townsend, that's a big moment. And is that Vesti in the pits as well?
If he can get there, I think he's out of fuel.
Oh, yes. Maybe on... everything's gone off.
He's out of everything, I think. Oh, so close. But so far.
Yeah, obviously run out of fuel and couldn't get it to the end. That's unfortunate. The rest will go down as a DNF as well. So will obviously Petty Elnick will go down as a DNF as well. And who's that?
That was Ben Shorty finishing the race and immediately alt F4ing, I guess.
Yeah, great. Yeah, completed it, mate. Well, congratulations, Ben Shorley. First race in the championship, came in halfway through and has done a fantastic job of winning by the best part of 70 seconds. As we see Tyler having another spin, unfortunately. Alfie Bevan will finish second eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's 50 seconds away, so we see him there going through Sector 2 on the track map. Alvin Blomqvist, we see him. Has he finished the race?
I'm guessing so, because these people will be many laps down, won't they?
That's very true.
They'll be, surely, I think, lapped up until Cowley, didn't he, pretty much, I think?
Yeah.
Or maybe up and, so just waiting for the next people to cross the line. So there is a GT3 and a hypercar about to cross the line, and we've got this little battle here. Jacob Hine is going to follow that Ferrari through. So Jacob will finish fourth. Cowley was third. Alfie Bevan second. Obviously, Cowley's finished. Alfie is just about to finish. I think he's just behind this battle. So he's about to cross the line. So Alfie does finish second. James Cowley third. Jacob Hine in fourth. As we see, Alfie having a nice spin at the end there. GT3 wise, we got Christian Kiesig comfortably beating Atul Baskar, and Baskar finishes second. A solid effort from Dmitry Yaroshenko up into third in that Ferrari 296. Had a really good race today, so a great effort for him. But Baskar and Kiesig looked like the race could have been closer earlier on in the race, but an issue for Baskar meant that Kiesig managed to get a gap and just maintain it for the rest of the race. But a good effort from them as well. So a kind of a race of attrition, Sam.
Oops. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, very much so. Let me just put the get rid of all this stuff. The results on, if it's going to let me. Definitely a race for attrition, and it's a new track, and so you're really forced to get up to speed as quick as you can, and a lot of drivers doing really well in doing so. So great job. Just look at that, by the way. Incredible amount of speed for Ben Shorley and Alfie Bevan, really there. I don't know why it says 1.2 because this isn't the actual results. This is the gap at the end, but ignore that. Either way, Ben Shorley, Alfie Bevan, incredible amount of speed. I'm hoping with the return of Monza and Spa and Sebring, we'll see a bit of a closer battle, because there are some quick drivers. Jacob Hine and Scotty Manders, they're quick as well in their own right. But you put them in a league with Ben Shorley, and it's just something else. Yeah,
absolutely. And we've got the likes of Aidan Carter to come back as well next week. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Definitely, as you see that Vala, Renat Bottleson, and Charlie Morgan are the last two cars in. Christian Kiesig beats Atul Baskar from Dmitry Yaroshenko. Anton Temenga, Matt Townsend in the Mustangs, 4th and 5th. Tyler Hammer, after all his issues, got 6th. Alex Parkins, 7th. Great effort from him. Matthias Fusgen down to 8th, and Tim Bob finishes in 9th with a couple of DNFs in Petty Jelinek and Ralph Vest.
Indeed, yeah. Indeed, wow.
But it did feel a bit like it must have been hard for the drivers. I'll be interested to see the outcome and the chat that's going to go on after the race. It did feel like it was a bit of a race of attrition, learning a track, learning a tyre model, a hot track as well. Obviously, they haven't had much time to practice, so but they did it. They've had a good effort. I'm already seeing Charlie Morgan in chat saying, "Thank God that's over." Alfie, what a hopeless track. Yeah, a few of them are having a grumble, but it's a difficult track, new tyre model. I think people will learn to love the track, and there's always going to be tracks that people are not fond of. But yeah, interesting. We'll just have to see. We'll go to Monza next week. Hopefully, I'll be back in the car, and and Tom will be back next week, so you won't have my headset breaking. Although, you see, it got better after I fixed my cable.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, Tom will be back next week, hopefully, and normal service, well, as normal as it can be, will be resumed. But yeah, thank you, obviously, for joining me tonight, Johnny. Thank you, everyone in chat, for joining. Some banter is always good, as always. Thank you for listening in the background. Thank you for racing with us, apparently, as well. Ben Shorley, he was leading the way so much, obviously decided to refresh himself throughout the race, which you've got nothing else to do, so I suppose why not. But we'll see everyone next week at a very wet Monza, but until then, obviously, we've got other things on throughout the week, so do join us for that as well if you want to watch some more getting involved in more racing. Join the Discord if you haven't already, please. Thank you very much. But for that, I think we'll just say good night, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And we will, like I said, we've got a race tomorrow in the GT3 Festival. And then we are back for the Academy on Wednesday and then back for Monza next week for your LMU fix. And thanks very much. And Sam, thanks for streaming. And thanks, everyone, for racing.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, good night.